leaves are getting to be too much for you, or you don't like doing them, that this would be, just get it. It's the best thing you can have.
Hi everybody, it's Matt from Woodland Power Products, and thanks for joining us. We're here in our home state of Connecticut. We're here with one of our longtime customers, Dan, who's got a spectacular property, and Dan's a two-time Cyclone Rake customer, and so we're out talking with a few of our customers this year just to gain some insight on what brought them to the Cyclone Rake, what are some of the things they like about it, what are some things we might be able to improve. So Dan, first of all, thank you so much for letting us visit you and see the chickens and the heron out in the pond and this beautiful property.
My pleasure, man.
One of the things we like to chat with our customers about is how they ever wound up being a Cyclone Rake owner, and kind of what was the progression that took them from, in all likelihood, raking leaves to blowing leaves to actually making the decision to own a lawn and leaf vacuum. So we're curious about your path to the Cyclone Rake.
When I first purchased this property, there wasn't much lawn involved with it. So for the first few years we were here, we raked. We came from a smaller property. We raked and picked it up. And as the property grew, it became more of a challenge for us. And plus it's the time that it takes to do it also. We moved on to a ride-on tractor and a lawnmower tractor with bags on the back. And a few more years went by, and that became a challenge because we have a lot of trees, and everyone knows the leaves all come down at once. And every 50 or 60 feet, I'd have to empty the bags. I'd have to drive them into the back and empty them, and that got really bad. Very, very difficult to do after a while. So that's when we thought we would have to move on to something else.
I speak with lots of customers every year, and I feel like I'm a prototypical Cyclone Rake customer who has had the experience of exactly what you said. You go from the truly manual side to the kind of the semi-automated side where you've got maybe a bagging system. And we can never forget the blowers and tarps, which can be a pretty big struggle. And we have lots of folks who say, I can't believe I waited this long to make the jump. I'm curious, so this is you're on your second Cyclone Rake. What happened to the first one?
Well, the first one was great, but my daughter got married and bought a house not too far from us with a very decent sized lawn, and for the first year I had to put my Cyclone Rake and tractor lawnmower on a trailer and drive over there and do their leaves for them, because it didn't take very long when I did it, and I knew they struggled when they tried. So after that season, my wife and I decided to pass down our machine to them along with the mower, and I went and bought a new one, larger size. So
got it. Nice. What you're fortunate, because we were talking before we started filming. You're fortunate because Woodland is right up the street. So if you ever need parts or you want a different accessory, you can literally run up the street and get something. It's one of the things that we work really, really hard to make sure is that, especially during the fall season, things are in stock, things are available, and if you need a part, we have the part. And I'm wondering, like, I'm going to hope you're answering this one the right way, have we met your expectations there?
I've never had a problem with that. The few parts that I needed over the years, replacement frame, some other things, I would just drive to West Haven and I would only be in the place for 5 minutes. And the great thing is, once I give my name, they look up the machine. So I don't have to try to figure out which unit I have, or they look it up and they tell me what I need. Yeah. So it's great. And I've never heard of anything being out of stock or anything like that you're talking about.
Yeah, good. Well, that warms my heart.
That would be devastating in the fall, I think.
Yes, yeah. No, we agree, and the team works incredibly hard to make sure that that's always the case. So it's it's nice to hear that we're meeting those expectations. That's where we want to be, and that's what we want to be doing. You also mentioned that you use the Cyclone Rake in the what I would call the off season. So maybe the spring or the summer. Are you using that for just general end of winter, beginning of spring cleanup too?
First 2 times I cut the lawn in the spring, I'll use that to pick everything up. Sometimes it's a little weedy, leaves that are blew around in the wintertime, whatever. Over the course of the year, if I'm going to have a party or something at the house, then I'll pick up all the grass, so it's a neater job. But generally, I just let the grass lay. But,
Sure.
So I do use it over the summer also.
Great. I'm wondering for storage to this day. I mean, we're in year 27. To this day, if we were to do a survey of our customers, one of the top 3 things they would say they like about the Cyclone Rake is that it folds flat and is easily stored. Is that it? Do you fold it up, hang it on a wall? You leave it up?
I don't. I leave it up.
When we look out across the great wide world of the internet, and we look at the folks who do the reviews on Trustpilot, or make their own YouTube videos or around it, it is honestly one of the most often heard comments is I wish I hadn't waited that long. And as you and I were talking about, like we all go through this progression of like I'm pretty much invincible, and I'm just going to rake these leaves or blow them and move this tarp all by myself, and at some point in time you just like it's, even if it's not that you can't do it, you just decide you don't want to do it. And more often than not, what typically happens is people will say, I wish I had done this sooner, not because you had to, but just because it would have saved like a lot of the time and energy that goes with it.
If I can add to that too, what I do is I don't wait for all leaves to be down.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to ask anybody for help. It's just me. So when the leaves start to come down, the grass isn't really growing anymore. So, but I'll run the property with it. It may take me a few hours, and it just lessens the amount that comes down in the end. So I'll probably do it 3 or 4 times. I don't wait till the end to do it.
Yep.
No, I could, and it's so easy.
One of the things that we really love about the Cyclone Rake is that the bending and flexing of that impeller ensures that you're never going to wind up with a warped impeller. And that we try and educate folks. It's really meaningful, because once that impeller gets bent, the problem transfers to the engine, and that's what you don't want, and that's what our impellers prevent from happening.
You're more likely to damage the blades on the mower than on the impeller.
Yes, yeah, no, that's
that I can attest to.
We may use that in our advertising, so I can't promise that we're not going to steal that one, Dan. But it's absolutely true. It is one of the genius moments that the creator, our founder at Woodland, really got incredibly right from day one. And to this day, we're proud of it, and really think it's one of those differentiators for the Cyclone Rake. So we're happy you think so too, and yeah, we don't encourage folks to test out the
don't run over any bricks.
Yeah.
But
we do have a small propane tank that fortunately was empty. It was just one of those 1 gallon ones, I guess, but it somehow someone ran over it, and it made it through, which is just stunning to me. But yeah, so we're not suggesting it. We're be thoughtful, but it's just good to know that the impeller is built the way it is.
Oh, it is not delicate, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't work for me if it was delicate.
That's the other thing I think that's common. You tell me if I'm wrong, but I will just say, as a Cyclone Rake owner, I went through this period of, oh geez, it's I've got a new Cyclone Rake. I'm gonna take really good care of it, and I would blow it down after every use, and I think I always did that, but over time I feel like I kind of pushed the limits on what the unit could do. Maybe that was not all that responsible, but I pushed the limits nonetheless. And
Very forgiving, yes.
it 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 just meets the moment. Like, there are very few things that can happen that are going to stop it from doing its job.
Exactly.
Dan, first of all, thank you again so much for taking the time and sharing your beautiful property and your thoughts around the Cyclone Rake. And we're delighted you're our customer, and we want to do everything we can to make sure that we always meet your expectations. So after 27 years, I'm going to sit here and tell you I feel very confident we can continue doing that, and that's where our head and our heart is at, and we're gonna continue to make sure that not only are you a happy customer, but all the new customers who come to Cyclone Rake are equally as pleased with their decision. I'm wondering, before we go, is there anything else? I mean, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but is there anything else that you would want someone who's considering going down the Cyclone Rake path? Is there anything else you would want them to know?
Well, if you know somebody that has one, just go watch them do the leaves for about 15 minutes. I think it'll change your life when it comes to leaves. But the other thing would be, don't wait, because I don't see why it makes any sense to wait. Get it and try it as soon as you can. Use it, and I can't see how you would regret it.
I couldn't say it any better, and would rather have folks hear it from you. I mean, obviously it's more meaningful to come from someone who's using it every fall, who's actually purchased a couple of these, put them together, and had the experiences of using it year after year after year, and so we're delighted the experience has been good. It's what we strive for, and again, just want to thank you so much for taking the time and letting us.
It's been my pleasure
chat.
speaking with you.
Well, we're here for you, and to all the folks out in wherever you're catching this. We're happy to answer any of your questions, and make sure that your experience is every bit as good as what Dan's is. So Dan, thank you so much for taking the time and being here.
My pleasure.
And we're gonna go check out the chickens and the heron that's back there. So.